All right, so as time continues to just completely fly by, we're almost at the point of getting to summer. So we're kind of like in, I would say like late spring pretty much, or late mid to late spring. And so what I have here today is 20 fragrances that I plan to wear this summer. All right. So just to get started with the list and make sure that this video isn't too long, I'm going to start off with a fragrance from the house of Homme, and this is going to be their take on Creed's Millésime Imperial, and this is Club de Nuit Milestone. So Milestone is, I would say, a really great cheap alternative to Creed's Millésime Imperial. This is going to give you really great performance. I would say definitely way better than what the Creed does. And I would say, I mean, it's like 90% close, pretty much 90+% close to Millésime Imperial. This definitely, it projects better. Like I said, the longevity is going to be better, and you're going to get that same sort of, sea salt, watermelon, sort of citrusy vibe, that you get from Millésime Imperial. Along with that really nice sort of ambergris feel that you get. This is a really amazing clone, and I would say typically you can normally find this for like around $30 to $40 or so for this 105 ml bottle. So definitely check this one out. Again, this is going to be Homme's Club de Nuit Milestone. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from the house of Ahmed Al-Maghribi, and this is Kaaf from Ahmed Al-Maghribi. So this is going to be pretty much like their take on Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce and like Parfums de Marly Percival. So this is just a really nice, I would say, super strong, lavender heavy, citrus heavy, kind of barbershop fougere, sort of fresh summertime sort of fragrance. This is definitely going to be a fragrance that you're not going to need to spray too much of when you're wearing this, especially in the summertime. And maybe like I would say at most probably you would only need maybe about 2 to 3 sprays. And once you spray those 2 or 3 sprays on you, that's going to be enough to last you, the whole day pretty much. So this is really beast mode performing. So I would say definitely be careful with how many times you spray this. This, I could see if you were the person who were to spray this on like 10 times, you would choke out everybody else around you, and I would say definitely yourself as well. So again, check this one out. Again, this is going to be Ahmed Al-Maghribi's Kaaf. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from the house of Fragrance World. This is a part of their Jacques Yves line, and this is definitely my favorite one from that line. This is L'Infinite. All right. So L'Infinite, this is going to be their take on Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. And this is a very good interpretation or clone of that fragrance. Now, I would also say as an alternative as well, you can also go with Alexandria Fragrances L'Immensity as well. Basically, when I did the side-by-side comparison between L'Infinite, L'Immensity and L'Immensité, which I'll have a video kind of going over this in more detail. Basically, these two smelled exactly the same, L'Immensity and L'Infinite. L'Immensité did have, I would say, it did smell slightly different than what these two did, but these two come, I would say, at least like 95% close pretty much to L'Immensité. So this one is definitely going to give you a better, I would say, cost ratio pretty much, because this is a 100 ml bottle, and I think this typically goes for like around $30 to $35 on Bandier fragrances, whereas 100 ml of L'Immensity is going to be over $100, even with like a 15% discount. So, I would say it just depends on whether or not you want to buy the Fragrance World version or the Alexandria. But again, this one is definitely, I would say, my favorite. And again, this is going to be L'Infinite from Fragrance World. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from the house of Lattafa, and this is their take on Acqua Di Gio Profumo, and this is Lattafa's Liam Blue Shine. So this is also a very, very close interpretation to the original Acqua Di Gio Profumo. And as a matter of fact, this is actually going to give you better performance, at least from what I got when I tested this one out last year. This one definitely performed better than the original Acqua Di Gio. That one was pretty much gone off of my skin, I would say, within like, I don't know, maybe like 4 to 5 hours or so. Whereas this one, I'm definitely getting closer to like 7 pretty much. And this is just, it's basically it's the Acqua Di Gio scent profile, I would say, kind of like with that sort of, you know, lavender, like barbershop fougere sort of feel to it. This is also, in my opinion, it's going to be sweeter than something like, you know, Acqua Di Gio Profumo, and not as dark. This is definitely going to be more kind of like bright and citrusy. But also, again, I would say it has that lavender touch, which gives it more of sort of like a fougere sort of feel. So definitely, man, if you're looking for a cheap alternative to Profumo, I would say definitely check this one out. Again, this is going to be Lattafa's Liam Blue Shine. All right, so the next one on the list, this is, again, going to be another fragrance from Alexandria Fragrances. And this is their take on Louis Vuitton's Symphony, and this is Alexandria's Orchestra. All right, so Orchestra, this is pretty much, I would say, like at least 90 to 95% close to Symphony from Louis Vuitton. I would say the Louis Vuitton, it does open up like slightly more brighter and slightly higher quality than what this one does. But I would say pretty much after that opening, the two are like pretty much identical for the most part. And this one also does give you very good performance as well. The Symphony fragrance is just basically, it's a very simple fragrance, but it smells amazing. So it's just basically like citruses for the most part. I, for the most part, kind of get like bergamot, mandarin orange. I believe there's a little bit of ginger in this and some ambroxan. So not really a lot going on in the fragrance, but it does smell really amazing, especially on like a really hot day. So again, I would say for the price difference that you can get this at, and for how close that you can get to, you know, the original fragrance, I think it just makes sense to go out and purchase this version of it. Because this one for 100 ml you can get for right over $100 or so. The 100 ml from Louis Vuitton is going to cost you closer to $600, and trust me, it doesn't smell 6 times better than this. So again, definitely check this one out. Again, this is Alexandria Fragrances Orchestra. All right, so next on the list, this is going to be from Paris Corner's Pandora Scents line. And this is their take on Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense, and this is Enchantment Blue Intense. All right, so I'll have a comparison video coming of this fragrance, you know, between this and the original coming soon here. But this is just basically, it smells like summer in a bottle to me. This is very sort of citrusy, in my opinion, kind of like aldehydic as well. Right now, I would say the performance on this, the couple of times that I've worn this, it hasn't necessarily been the best, especially in terms of the projection. I'm hoping that just has something to do with maybe this just needs to maturate a little bit, and, you know, sort of get stronger. But so far, this has kind of been like a closer to your skin, sort of more intimate type of scent. And I would say the longevity on it has been like around 5 to 6 hours or so. But this is still, I would say, a really good hot weather scent. A really good sort of dumb reach fragrance for that sort of situation where, you know, yeah, it may smell kind of basic and generic, but you're just wanting to smell good pretty much, you know. I don't really think anyone would really dislike this fragrance. So this would really be a safe, like I said, easy dumb reach for the summertime. And again, this is going to be Pandora Scents Enchantment Blue Intense. All right, so the next one on the list, this is also from Paris Corner, and this is a part of their North Stag line. And this is North Stag's Quatre. All right. So Quatre, this is going to be their sort of twist on Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim. So this is definitely, this is my favorite interpretation of the Afternoon Swim sort of scent profile. Basically, what this does differently is this definitely has, I would say, a heavier emphasis on like a really sweet, ripe mandarin orange. And I would say that the sort of musky, sort of ambroxan smell that you get from Afternoon Swim, that's toned down a little bit in this fragrance. So this one is, I would say, slightly thicker than what the Afternoon Swim DNA is. But I do prefer the way that this one smells. Now, you can also, you know, if you like, I guess, something that's closer to the original scent profile, you can also, if you can find this fragrance, you can go with Luciano's Sunset Swim, which this is going to be a lot closer to like the original scent DNA. I would say this is just like maybe 1 to 2% more sweeter. Or if you want something that's pretty much like a 1-to-1 clone, pretty much, with really good performance, then I would recommend Alexandria's Afternoon Splash. This is like basically it's identical to the original. It doesn't have any sort of extra added sweetness to it or anything like that. I would say the only thing that's different about this is going to be a really beast mode version of that scent profile. It definitely is stronger than the original and lasts a really long time. So again, if you want a slightly, I would say, more like of a twist on the sort of scent profile of Afternoon Swim, then definitely check this one out. And again, this is going to be Quatre from Paris Corner. Next on the list, this is also again going to be from Alexandria Fragrances. They're definitely pretty heavy on this list. And this is going to be their take on Aventus Cologne, and this is Brasilia Cologne. So this is Aventus Cologne, I would say, with just really beast mode projection pretty much, and really, really good longevity. I get great performance out of this every time I wear it. This is one that I really don't need to spray that many times. I would say probably like around 6 to 7 sprays is really all you need of this fragrance. And you're good to go. And I mean, you're good to go, pretty much for like the entire day for the most part. This is just a really beautiful fragrance. It's really citrusy, slightly floral. It has that sort of Aventus scent DNA, but I would say it's more of sort of like a unisex, take on Aventus. So definitely, man, I would say check this one out. Again, this is going to be Alexandria Fragrances Brasilia Cologne. All right, so next one is going to be from the house of Chanel, and this is, I would say, probably one of my favorite fragrances from that house, and this is going to be Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum. All right, so although the Parfum, in my opinion, is the best smelling version of Bleu De Chanel, this is still, I would say, my favorite, take on the Bleu De Chanel scent profile. This is going to give you just like that really nice grapefruit. You're going to get some incense with this fragrance, some woodiness, and this basically, it projects pretty good. I get pretty good longevity out of this one as well. At least I would say 8 hours for the most part. And you can smell this one on you the entire time. Whereas with the Parfum is definitely a lot more closer to your skin and more intimate, even though that one smells a lot richer than this one does, and a little bit darker. I think that this one is definitely, it's more so kind of suited for daytime wear, whereas I feel like the Parfum is definitely better for nighttime, or I would say like office wear, where you don't want to be too loud. But again, definitely, man, if you haven't smelled Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum, I definitely recommend picking this one up. And again, this is Bleu De Chanel Eau de Parfum. All right, so next on the list, this is going to be a clone of Bulgari's Tiger, and this is from FA Paris Fragrance World, and this is Vie Ciel. All right, so this fragrance is very, very close to Bulgari's Tiger. I would say that this does come off as being just ever so slightly more muskier than Alexandria's version, Black Panther, and also, you know, the original fragrance. But this is still a very, very good, high quality cologne. Now, I'll say, and this is the case with a lot of F.A. Paris Fragrance World fragrances. Do not judge those fragrances by how they smell when you first get them out of the box. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but it seems like with every F.A. Paris Fragrance World fragrance that I've owned, they need about a month and a half to sometimes up to about 2.5 to 3 months to really sort of maturate and get to where they need to be. And I can say that this one definitely, it was no different. The performance on this, when I first got it, was average at best, I would say. Now it performs, I would say, just as good as the original fragrance, if not better. And I would also say it has become a little bit more refined, and the projection on it is also higher than, what it was before. So again, I would say this is one of my favorite, interpretations of the Bulgari Tiger scent profile. I know most people, they say that, the Alexandria version is the closest version. I've owned that particular fragrance before, and I sold it just because, at least for me, it was just a little bit too strong and too beast mode. But this one, at least for me, is just right. So again, definitely check this one out. This is Vie Ciel from F.A. Paris Fragrance World. Next one on the list, this is the newest fragrance that I just got. And this is going to be an interpretation or clone of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And this is Alexandria Fragrances Visionary. All right. So I had recently got a, like a sampler set from Alexandria Fragrances. And I mainly got like Louis Vuitton fragrances to kind of compare with. And one of the fragrances that was in that set was Visionary. And when I sprayed this on next to the original Louis Vuitton, I basically, like, this was the closest that I had smelled. Definitely closer than Essence de Blanc, and obviously closer than the Saheb Intense as well. Which, in my opinion, this is kind of more of a twist than like an actual clone. But this was definitely closer than the Essence de Blanc, while still giving me the same sort of performance that Essence de Blanc did. So I was very pleased with this, so much so that I went out and just got a 100 ml bottle of Visionary. This is going to be, I would say, like 97% close pretty much to the original. The only difference that I get between Visionary and the original is, in my opinion, the way that the neroli comes off in the original fragrance, it comes off as being just slightly more higher quality and just slightly more natural smelling. But I would say, other than that, like, this pretty much does the exact same thing that Louis Vuitton's Imagination does. So this is definitely going to be the reason why I probably won't be buying a bottle of Imagination. I've gone back and forth about whether or not I was going to do that or not. With this, I don't really think I need that, the original fragrance anymore. So definitely, man, check this one out if you want the closest thing to Imagination without paying, over $300 for it. Definitely check this out. Again, this is Alexandria's Visionary. All right, so next on the list, this is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is their take on YSL Y's EDT. And this is F Eau de Parfum from Fragrance World. So this is very, very close to YSL EDT. The only difference really that I get from this fragrance when I spray it side by side with the original is this one definitely does have a little bit like of an alcohol blast when you first spray it on. Definitely smells kind of rough. But I would say that part really only lasts for maybe like the first 30 to 45 seconds pretty much. And then once this settles down, this is basically identical to the original scent profile. And it gives pretty decent performance, at least for me right now. I would say I get typically like around 6.5 to about 7 hours now, especially now that this has kind of been maturated a little bit. And this is one of the fragrances that I absolutely love to wear to the gym. But I would also say that this is going to be like another one of those really easy, dumb reach, warm weather sort of fragrances that you just kind of throw on when, you know, you just want to smell good, but you don't necessarily want to smell super complex or sophisticated. All right. So definitely check this one out. Again, this is going to be F Eau de Parfum from Fragrance World. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from the house of Giorgio Armani. This is, I would say, probably one of my favorite freshies that I've ever smelled. And this is going to be Acqua Di Gio Profumo. All right, so this is going to be one of those sort of original formulation bottles with the, you know, magnetic cap. If you can still find these out there for a reasonable price, I would say definitely pick them up. Because at least for me, this does project and, you know, last a little bit longer than what the ones do with the sort of snap-on caps, you know, that have been reformulated. But pretty much this is just a really sort of dark, but yet at the same time fresh, you know, sort of, you know, warm weather aquatic style scent. So this has stuff in it like, you know, incense or frankincense. It has patchouli in it, which kind of gives it sort of like a dark, dirty sort of take on like an aquatic fragrance. But it is still citrusy and salty, you know, and it definitely has that Acqua Di Gio, you know, sort of scent profile within the backbone of the fragrance. But again, in my opinion, this is definitely the best one out of the entire Acqua Di Gio line. And so I definitely recommend this one. If you can find, again, an original formulation, then definitely pick it up. And again, this is going to be Acqua Di Gio Profumo. All right, so next one is going to also be from the house of F.A. Paris Fragrance World. This one is extremely hard to find, but when it is in stock, I definitely recommend picking this one up. And this is going to be F.A. Paris Fragrance World's Divin Asylum. So Divin Asylum, this is going to be your Elysium Parfum Cologne. And this is a very, very good, high quality clone of that fragrance. Now, this one was recently back in stock, I believe, on like fragflex.com recently. I did put that in the community tab, so hopefully a lot of you were able to pick that up. I believe it pretty much sold out after like maybe 2 or 3 days or something like that, maybe even less than that. But as soon as I saw it, I went ahead and picked up a backup bottle. And this is just really, it's a really amazing summertime fragrance. I would say you could also probably wear this one in the spring as well, like the late spring when it's warm outside. But this is best suited for like those really hot days. That's when this one really kind of activates and wakes up. And this is just a really sort of citrusy, floral, spicy, you know, really sort of masculine scent. And this is definitely is going to be a compliment getter for sure. I would say it's at least probably 90 to 95% close pretty much to the original Elysium Parfum Cologne. It just doesn't have that, to me, the opening of this fragrance, it doesn't capture it 100%. It definitely does it better than the, the Imperium from Fragrance World. Definitely does a much better job at the fragrance than, you know, what that one does. But I would say it's slightly off when it comes to, you know, the original fragrance, but still very good. So definitely check this one out. Again, this is going to be Divin Asylum from F.A. Paris Fragrance World. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from the house of Byredo, and this is definitely one of my, I would say, favorite scents that I've smelled from the house, and this is Bal D'Afrique from Byredo. All right, so this one, I went ahead and, you know, just purchased this one last year when I got the Vibrant Vetiver Delight, and I got a sample Bal D'Afrique to kind of compare the two with. And this one, to me, it smelled a little bit better than, you know, the Vibrant Vetiver Delight. Now, I know for most people, they probably feel like Vibrant Vetiver Delight is close enough to this to where they really don't need to go out and buy the original. At that time, that's the way that I felt. This just is a really amazing, I would say, super citrusy, sweet, I would say really heavy on black currant, sort of vetiver, you know, in the background type of scent. This also is one of those fragrances that I would say is definitely best suited for like super hot days. So I typically will reach for this one, you know, when the temperature is like above 105 degrees or so out here. That's when this one really does its best, in my opinion. And yeah, man, I mean, I would say obviously the alternative to this would be the Vibrant Vetiver Delight. That one to me is a little bit heavier on vetiver than what this one is. I would say this one, the black currant, definitely smells a little bit better, a little bit more natural, and a little bit sweeter than what the Vibrant Vetiver Delight does. But I would say either way, you know, if you're a fan of Vibrant Vetiver Delight, then you'll also be a fan of the original Bal D'Afrique as well. The performance on this is, I would say, it's about average. I get like around, I would say probably about 7 hours or so for the most part with Bal D'Afrique, which for, you know, a pretty fresh fragrance like how this one is, that is pretty decent. So again, definitely check this one out. Again, this is Bal D'Afrique from Byredo. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be, I would say, probably one of the best sort of compliment getting fragrances that are going to be on this list. And this is going to be from the house of Versace, and this is Versace's Hawas Ice. So really, I would say you could go with either Hawas Ice or just the original Hawas. This one has definitely come down in price, thankfully. So it is, you know, pretty affordable now, just like Hawas is. Hawas is typically, I want to say, about maybe $15 to $20 cheaper than what this one typically goes for now. But I do think that the Hawas Ice, it is worth it to just go out and buy this one. This is more of sort of like a updated, sort of slightly tweaked version of the original scent profile. The two definitely do smell very similar, I would say, for sure. But this one, I would say it smells slightly better. It really does. And this is just basically, it's going to be an aquatic style fragrance, kind of like the, you know, sort of Invictus vibes pretty much. So it does kind of have like that sort of bubblegum, aquatic, really sort of sweet, you know, youthful, mass appealing type of vibe to it. But when I tell you that this scent profile, I would say is my most, you know, complimented ever. I mean, I pretty much get complimented almost every time that I wear either this or the original Hawas. So definitely, man, this is a summertime banger for sure. I would say if this were the only fragrance that you had for the summertime, I'm pretty sure you would probably be happy with that, because this is a really, really amazing summertime fragrance. And again, this is going to be Hawas Ice from Versace. All right, next on the list, this is going to be from the house of Nishane, and this is Nishane's Wulong Cha. So Wulong Cha is a really, really super beast mode tea fragrance, pretty much. So with this one, you're going to get some oolong tea. Also in the opening, you're going to get a blast of citruses. So a lot of bergamot, a lot of orange. You know, you're going to get some fig in this fragrance as well, which kind of adds to kind of like that sort of, you know, green, but yet at the same time, sort of calming, you know, sort of flow that you get with this fragrance. There's also like a little bit of spiciness and florals in this fragrance as well. This is just a really, really nice, I would say, summertime fragrance that also has beast mode performance as well. This is going to project like a beast. The longevity on this is going to be, I would say, over 10 to 12 plus hours pretty much. And this is going to be a fragrance that you're really not going to need to spray a lot of. I've had this fragrance several years now, and this is only a 50 ml bottle, and I'm only about halfway through it. Again, this is really, I would say, a fragrance that you only need to spray maybe about 4 to 5 times maximum, and that's going to go a long way pretty much. So definitely, man, if you're into tea fragrances, if you're into fig, if you're into a lot of citruses, then definitely check this one out. Again, this is Nishane's Wulong Cha. All right, so the next one on the list, this is like a classic freshie from the house of Versace, and this is Versace's Pour Homme. All right, so Versace Pour Homme, this is, I would say, at this point, It definitely isn't as popular as what it used to be, but this is still, I would say, a very solid fragrance, especially for the summertime. This is extremely citrusy. I would say also kind of like aldehydic as well. Definitely, it I would say performs its best like when the weather is like extremely hot outside and you've got the sun beaming down on you, kind of activating this fragrance. That's when this one really does its best. It projects, I would say, very nicely for probably like the first hour, hour and a half. And then after that, it does definitely start to drop off. So it does start to become a lot closer to your skin. There is sort of like a sort of creamy aspect to this fragrance as well in the dry down, creamy and woody, I would say. But this is like pretty much, this is again another one of those fragrances that are like summer in a bottle. And you can also get this one for pretty cheap. Normally, this 100 ml bottle typically goes for anywhere from about $30 to $40 pretty much. So I would say for, you know, 100 ml designer fragrance like that, if you can get it for that type of cost, you really can't beat that. So again, check this one out. Again, this is Versace Pour Homme. All right, and so again, we have another fragrance here from Fragrance World. This is their take on Parfums de Marly Setley, and this is Posh Sirius. All right, so Posh Sirius, this is just basically, it's a citrus bomb. It's minty, has a lot of lavender in it, has some woody aspect to it, you know, once you get to the dry down. So this is going to be like another one of those kind of, you know, fougere style fragrances pretty much. But this is pretty much, this is a different sort of take on it. And I really love the way that this smells. Definitely it is going to be different than something like Profondo, I would say, for sure. And also different from something like, you know, Ahmed Al-Maghribi's Kaaf. So this is definitely going to be more of sort of like an in-your-face style sort of fragrance. Definitely more kind of rough and, you know, I don't want to say masculine, but just more kind of aggressive, I would say. Whereas this one, I would say it does have some aggressiveness to it, but it's definitely more, I would say, kind of toned down than what, you know, the Kaaf is, for, you know, for instance. But this is also going to give you pretty decent performance as well. The projection on this, at least on me anyway, for like the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so, is pretty beast mode. And then in terms of just the overall longevity, I normally get like around at least about 7.5 to 8 hours pretty much. So I definitely recommend this. I also love wearing this one to the gym as well. And again, this one is going to be Fragrance World's Posh Sirius. All right, and so the last one on the list, man, this one is definitely, it's pretty hard to find, but if you can find this one, I would say definitely pick it up. It's at least about 90% close to the original. I would say just slightly weaker in terms of performance. And this is going to be Amalfi Coast from Just Jack. And this is their take on Tom Ford's Mandarino di Amalfi. So, like I said, this one is going to be about 90% close to that fragrance. It's just slightly weaker. So, you know, in terms of the projection and the longevity, it's not going to be as good, I would say, as the Tom Ford. But this is basically, it's going to be about, you know, the same experience pretty much that you would get with the Tom Ford. Now, you could definitely probably overspray this one to kind of compensate for that. You know, however, I would say this may be a fragrance that you might want to, you know, kind of, you know, I guess hold on to for a little bit, because you never really know when this one is going to be back in stock or if it will be, because it's basically, it's out of stock more times than not, pretty much. I was lucky when I was able to pick this one up. I think I got it from FragranceSpy.ca for like around $30 to $40. But for the most part, whenever you look for this fragrance, it's typically out of stock. This one, if you're not familiar with Mandarino di Amalfi, it's just basically, it's a really sort of citrusy, herbal, sort of spicy, sort of masculine scent, in my opinion. That's the best way for me to kind of describe that. And it is definitely a good fragrance to wear, I would say, for spring and summertime. But, you know, it really, I would say you could probably wear this one all year round, other than probably like the winter time. I really wouldn't reach for this one in the winter, but definitely spring and summer, I would say, would be the best times to wear this fragrance. So definitely, man, if you ever see this fragrance and you see it in stock, I would definitely recommend picking this up. And again, this is going to be Just Jack's Amalfi Coast. All right, man, so that's the list. That is the list of my top 20 sort of, you know, summertime fragrances that I have in my collection. These are definitely fragrances that I plan to wear a lot of this coming summer. So definitely let me know if you have any of these fragrances on this list. Let me know if you have all of these fragrances on the list. And if so, what do you think about this list? Let me know in the comments, all right? Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And once again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.